This has been one of the rainiest seasons I can remember for a really long time, and I'm hesitant to complain about it because I don't want the rain to completely stop, but boy, has it made managing this garden very difficult. I have spent multiple days this past week in the garden weeding and trying to just stay kind of on top of things. This is a massive garden, and in the season of life that I'm in with small children, I don't have just an entire day to go out and weed the garden. If I did, I could keep up with this no problem. But I have like 10 and 15 minute short little bursts, and if I'm lucky, I might get an hour or hour and a half at a time. So I've just been doing the best I can to stay on top of things. But this week I got a massive amount of work done in the garden. I got, as you can see here, all of my seeds for my winter squashes sown. I laid out all of that straw in the center section of the garden there, put in some compost piles, and then directly seeded my seeds into those compost piles. And those are actually now germinating. This was a few days ago. So after all the rain and sunshine that we've had, they're now germinating. I got my tomato and okra and pepper rows completely weeded, and I started the Florida weave on my tomatoes. They're tall enough now that they need some support. You'll see that a little bit later on. My peas are going crazy. I've harvested peas multiple times, and I had to hill my potatoes, so I had to add a lot more straw over to my potato rows. So that was one afternoon I spent just completely covering them with straw again, and it has just been kind of crazy trying to keep up with everything. But I'm very thankful for the rain because the garden is actually doing very well. And so I really am trying not to complain about it, and I'm just trying to work with it. And so I have spent several days just trying to weed and get everything caught up. And of course, it's never going to be completely caught up. And the entire north section of my garden, where I plan on having all my flowers, is still an absolute jungle. And the grass is growing up, and it's really driving me nuts, to be perfectly honest with you, that I haven't been able to get to that. But I've been focusing my energies on the vegetable portion of the garden, and I think maybe later today I can go out and finish the flower portion before we get another 3 days of rain starting tomorrow. Maybe. We'll see if we get that done. But everything else is starting to look really good. What you're looking at right now is before I got everything weeded. And I'm so sorry for spinning the camera around so fast there. But I'm just trying to give you an overview of what everything looked like. And then once I get everything completely cleaned up, probably in the morning, I'll do a garden tour and have that out on the channel for you in the next few days. But I just really wanted to do a video showing just how much the grass had grown, because last week I spent 2 or 3 days weeding this garden, and it looked beautiful, and then it was right back to where I started. So next week I will probably be living this again and weeding again because we're getting so much rain. But that's okay. We need the rain to make the things grow. So trying to just be grateful for it, and just trying to document all of the different parts of the season for my garden this year. I'm so happy that I'm feeling good and I'm feeling like myself again, and I can be out in the garden and do all of this hard work, because last summer I just couldn't. I was so sick and in bed the entire summer, and it led to a lot of depression because of it, because I am an outdoorsy girl and I love the summertime, and I just really love being outside. And last year I was so sick I couldn't, and it was just awful. And so I'm just really trying to soak up every minute of being able to be outside and do the things I love and be with my kids and feel good this summer. So it's okay if the garden looks a mess, and I still have this mountain of straw here, which will eventually go into the pasture for the pumpkin patch. But I haven't got there yet. I'm taking it day by day. It'll probably be June 15th or June 20th before the pumpkins are planted, but you know what? Our season's long enough. It'll be fine. So this is just another glimpse of everything before I got the weeding done, and it's pretty bad, but it does get better. It does get better. And then I also tackled my garden shed this week. It was to the point where I literally could not even walk in to try to find anything, because with all the rain and I was trying to get everything done, I just threw things in, and I was like, I'll deal with this problem later. And it became later, and I had to deal with this problem. And so I just started kind of taking everything out and piling it in the yard and just trying to figure out, okay, what's trash? What do I need to throw away? And it took me about an hour and a half to get this completely done. And it still is not as organized as I would really like it to be, but I can find everything. I know where everything is. I can actually walk into the shed, which is really helpful. And I was able to dig out my extra hose, which I was needing. And as you'll see at the very end of this, the entire back portion of the shed still looks like it's just piled with a bunch of stuff. But that's all of the empty milk jugs and water bottles and things like that that my friends and family collect for me all year long, because I do winter sowing for my seed starting. And I use those jugs. And so I clean them out each year and I reuse them. And so I store them in the garden shed so that they're not just stored in my house, because it gets to be way too much for me to have all that clutter in the house. And so at least if it's out here, I don't have to look at it as often, and I still have all my milk jugs, and I'll be able to do winter sowing again this coming winter for the following garden season. So as you can see, it's not perfect, but at least I can find everything and I can get to everything that I need to get to. Again, the back portion, I don't even have to get to any of that stuff, so it doesn't matter that it's piled there. I'll drag all that out this winter when I do my seed starting. And this is that Florida weave I was talking about. I will end up doing this pretty much every single week. I'll be adding another layer of Florida weave and pruning these tomatoes back until the season is over. And so at some point I'll bring you along and show you how I do that. But it's really a simple process, and I have found that it is the absolute best method for trellising tomatoes, at least in my opinion. And this is just me weeding and filling 5-gallon bucket after 5-gallon bucket full of weeds and dumping it to get rid of them. But it is starting to look so much better, and I can't wait to show you a garden tour. Hopefully the rain will hold out long enough for me to do that. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.